Right, folks, so the results of the poll were in, and it's an on day. So, going to do the usual thing. It's very cold in the UK at the moment, so we're going to do some warming up. Warming up is pretty standard. These are not supposed to be hard sets. My general recommendation is 3 to 5 sets of 10 to 15 reps. I'm not counting right now, I can talk to you guys. But what I wanted to kick off with talking about is, I read this morning on Brad Schoenfeld's Instagram the results for a study that he'd just released, something he'd just finished, and the conclusion was warming up is irrelevant. So warm-ups are just not necessary at all. There's no evidence. Now, naturally, your mind goes to, what about injury prevention? And so that's what a lot of people, very understandably, were mentioning in the comments. They were saying, well, what about injury prevention? Perhaps that's a factor. Synovial fluid, the things that I've talked about in the past. And so Brad was actually going into the comments and admonishing these people for questioning the study, and saying, well, it seems to have no effect. Show me the proof. Where's the proof? Like in a somewhat, I think, what came across as a kind of passive-aggressive way. And then obviously Brad's supporters were all in there as well, saying, people don't like science offends feelings, and all that kind of stuff, which I think is just kind of really missing the point. And I think studies if I saw a conclusion to a study which was like wild, it didn't support years and decades of anecdotal evidence, I wouldn't immediately overnight change my mind and go, right, that's it. New study, we need to stop warming up, and everything we've been doing for the last 100 years is absolute bollocks. I would say, well, clearly there's something missing in the study, and that makes more sense, doesn't it? So I think that's the kind of thing which does put people off, when the science really doesn't reflect. It doesn't reflect conclusions that we know to work. And listen, I'm all for trying new things. Like the whole length and partial thing has actually been a great example of this, because I am generally a good fan of adding in partials towards the end of a set. But this is where I think the research is missing the trick, because it's not the conclusion per se, it's the application. And I think that's kind of something where it shows there's some factor which is missing in the study, something which needs to be added in. It's a bit like the NPS research, right? You look back 8 years, NPS was raised, they found that NPS was raised more with multiple bouts of training per week. So the conclusion extrapolated from that was, we need to train more often. But clearly, again, there's a factor missing, isn't there? The factor missing is that it's not a direct measure of muscle growth. So that's the kind of stuff I think which puts people off. And I think you can naturally just sort of start to be a bit more skeptical and question these things. All right, so anyway, first exercise is going to be dumbbell curls. I've had a bit of a hankering for dumbbell curls. I try and do them probably every other session rather than every session, because they just get a bit too heavy. Progression on these has been great, actually. I started off with these on 15 kilo dumbbells, and now I'm up to 24s over the course of 6 months. So that's pretty sweet. Hopefully going to stick to the 24s today. I think 24 kilos is about 52 pounds, something like that. Yeah. So I'm going to stick to those today. I got 10 reps last time. If I can get 11 this time, I would be ecstatic. All right, warm-ups felt pretty good. So I always find the first set is the most nerve-inducing. It's the barometer for if the rest of the session goes well. So there's a lot of pressure on that first set. But let's give it a go. Right, so that feels pretty good. Yeah, I thought I'd talk a bit about diet and diet mentality. I think the way that I kind of feel about diet right now is most of the time I don't really have a goal per se when it comes to the outcome of the diet. Obviously, towards the end, I want to get lean, but what I mean is on a day-by-day basis, it's just easier to focus on the process. So my goal for today is to do my cardio, hit my training, eat my meals. If I do all that, the rest of it kind of takes care of itself. And I find that on a week-to-week basis, you don't really want to be evaluating the process too much because it tends to get people hyper-analyzing what's going on and really analyzing all the downs and the ups and the highs and the lows. But the problem with that is you will get, well, you might, not you, but some people might get dissatisfied with their progress. You know what it's like. Some weeks, let's say you do your weigh-in, you're holding a bit more water, or things haven't gone very well. Let's say you had a social occasion. You've accounted for the calories, but the extra glycogen in your body means you're just a bit more full. And that can get people down when they don't see the right result on the scale. And that can lead people to just hating the scale. I think evaluation should come, every few weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. Most of the time, what you want to be doing is just doing the thing. So I think that's where your energy should lie. For me personally, this is a much psychologically is a better way to go about things. My whole focus on the day-to-day, just doing what I need to do. And then, sure, most of the time it goes in the right direction. If after a few weeks I find things aren't moving the way I want it to move, then I can make adjustments. But I think by focusing on your weight, just solely your weight, or let's say your measurements, or even your pictures, from week to week, you're missing out there because you may be hyper focusing on things which aren't going to change that much. When I was getting ready for my contest 2018, my weight changed by 2 kilos the last 6 weeks. No, not even 2 kilos, 1 kilo. 1 kilo the last 2 weeks, the last 6 weeks. So that's not a big change. So I think, yeah, certainly if you've got a lot of fat to lose, right? Let's say you've got 50 pounds to lose, then yeah, sure. You want to be doing things to get the weight off. But even then, your main focus should be on getting the day-to-day processes right. Because if you do that, you'll be in a much better place throughout the rest of the cut. I just think, I'm not telling you what to do, but again, just for me, psychologically, it's a lot better just to focus on what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. The wins will rack up. Just do what you need to do. Don't worry about the result. It'll get done. Anyway, let's smash this set. Okay, that was pretty sweet. Good couple of sets for the buys and the tries to kick it off. I still am in the mood for a bit more heavy work for the biceps at least. So I think I'm going to do some single arm dumbbell preachers and just kind of load it heavy. So yeah, let's just finish off that chat about process versus outcome goals. I think this is a big thing that kind of screws people over. People, once you've got the basics down, once you know how to calorie track, or you know how to do your meal plans, or whatever it is, whatever your system is, I think the big thing that screws people over is a lack of patience. Very often, your body weight, when it's under stress, and dieting is a stress, is going to fluctuate. And more often than not, it's going to fluctuate up, right? So there's a lack of patience. If you're not patient with just riding out some of these water weight changes, people get frustrated, and then when they get frustrated, they make changes. This is one of the reasons why having a coach is so valuable, because you can have a steady hand who's experienced, who's been there before, and kind of guide you through that. I think if you are by yourself, you're much more subjected to subjective swings in your opinion, in your plan. Whereas if you have somebody who's objective, well, by nature, it's an objective look at what you're doing. Especially if somebody's experienced. I think if you have a coach who's also equally not experienced, you're both just two heads, essentially just egging each other on to make more and more changes in the program. I don't think that's a good idea. So yeah, patience is a big thing. And this boils back to having process goals and focusing on them on a week-by-week basis. Evaluation should really only be done every minimum 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. But people do it almost every day. As soon as they step on the scale, they do it. Now, I'm not suggesting you don't weigh yourself every morning. I think you should. But the point is, you should only use that data to, plug into your spreadsheet. If you're working with me, plug into your spreadsheet. It'll create a weekly average. So it's just data to data. Become less focused and emotionally attached to the data. Just log it, track it, and then at an appropriate interval, you can see what's going on. And imagine if the situation was at work. Let's say you're at work, and every single day, your work day got scrutinized and evaluated to the point where you might lose your job. I mean, that's such a high-pressure situation, but that's what people put themselves under when they do this. So the goal is, just like with work, just do the thing every day, and then evaluate at appropriate intervals. It takes the emotion out of things, because we're only human. But as much as you can detach yourself from the day-to-day data and just focus on doing the thing, living your life, the better it is. The better it is. Anyway, let's hit the set. See how we do. Right, so these I like to do as drop sets. So I'm just going to film one arm, film the left arm, and I'm going to match the reps with a stronger arm. But yeah, this set might go on for a while, so I'll just film one. That's too easy. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay. So so I mostly wanted to talk about those two things today: the whole warm-up study, but also a little bit about goals. I'll tell you what. Also, on a separate note, on a different thing, this is more of a life thing. One of my wife's friends had to have a kind of a meeting at work, which was designed, well, not really disciplinary per se, but just designed to kind of support her, right? And she was getting quite stressed about it. And I remember all that because when I was a school teacher, I was very, very motivated. I would take things very seriously. And anytime there was, an inevitable performance review or whatever, I would get really wound up. And I think this is, if you're very passionate about something, your emotions are riding high on it, I think it pays, well, I think it can be very easy to get wound up in that as the sole determinant of your mood during the course of the day. But what I said to her was what I wish people had said to me when I was younger too, was that you as a whole, you're not to be judged by one factor of who you are. You guys who are listening now, you've probably got lots of things going for you. You're not judged by, if we look at this in a fitness context, you're not judged by your performance in a given day. That shouldn't make you feel bad as a whole, as a person. If you don't do particularly well on a training session or a training block, that doesn't mean it's your moral failure. There's more to you than that. It's one aspect of who you are. So if you're, I don't know, let's say you didn't try very hard on a set and you got called out, you could have put in more intensity and stuff like that. But that's not, nobody's saying you as a person or a slacker is not a fundamental moral flaw of who you are. You are composed of many other aspects of your personality. It's not just how hard you work in the gym or your progression or how big you are or, you're the car you drive. You're judged, well, you should judge yourself by the whole of your parts to prevent you from getting overly wound up when one area of your life will inevitably go south. And I wish somebody had told me that when I was younger, because I put a lot of pressure on myself when it came to performance. And looking back now, what I accomplished in what was a relatively short time in teaching, about 12 years, was really good. Really good. But at the time, I was constantly just looking for more and not satisfied with where I was, because I was hyper-focusing on one area of my life, whereas I think balance is super important. Like I said to my wife's friend, I said, look, you're a mother. You've got a beautiful house, beautiful kids, husband, you've got a decent job, and you're a good, all these things, right? There's more to you than to be judged by just one review or what one person thinks of you. And I think all of you guys listening to this, you need to remember that, because we all get very wound up and very passionate about things that we want to improve. But the fact of the matter is, it's one aspect of who you are. Don't over-exaggerate that in terms of importance, because you will have ups and downs, and you'll end up unnecessarily stressing yourself out. Right, so let's get in a shot. There we go. So to finish off, I'm going to hit some one-arm push-downs. I normally do them like this, because I think your grip doesn't make too much of a difference, but I might try it like this today. Just see how it feels. Anyway. Yeah, they actually feel a bit funky on my right thumb, so I don't think I'll do that with the right hand. Yeah, with the right hand, I'm just kind of trying to match the the reps and stuff with the left hand, so it doesn't really matter too much. The left hand felt pretty good though, you know, with this grip rather than this grip. So I'll do that for the next set with the left hand, but the right hand, just the thumb feels a bit funky today for some reason. Pump is good though. Okay, let's move over here and do a quick recap. When I was doing that last set, there was this lady behind the camera and she was kind of looking over at me, almost as if to say, hey, stop staring at me. But I was like, hold on, lady, I'm looking at myself in the mirror, not you. I didn't say that to her. I'm joking as well. I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. I'm joking. People can do what they like. It's just funny. Anyway, session was good. Did 6 sets of biceps, 6 sets of triceps, which is pretty standard for me right now. Feeling pretty pumped and vascular. See, my vascularity is decent, but I don't think it's a massive reflection always of how lean I am. I mean, I've been vascular since I was a kid. It's one of the first things I noticed on my physique when I was like 15 years old was veins across my chest. It's really weird. And I was not lean at 15, so I think it's genetic. But I mean, getting leaner, things looking pretty good. I am going to do some posing now in the other room. We've got a studio here, which is perfect for posing. So I'll walk over there, do some posing. I might do some forearms because I've got a pretty relaxed day today. So yeah, all right. So the usual posing spot is taken by people doing classes in the studio class. I mean, come on. I'm joking. People can do what they like, obviously. I'm going to pose out here. This is actually the Smith machine. I feel like a bit of a douche taking to Smith, but the gym's quiet, so if anyone wants it, I'll move over. Right. Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Yeah, feeling good. I don't know how you do this pose. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. That was a good session. Very good. Thank you for joining me on my little YouTube journey. Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for what you want me to discuss in the next video, over the course of the week, I generally look for ideas about what to talk about. And hopefully I will see you next week, probably for a leg session, where I should be at least a pound leaner, which is, again, not a goal I'm aiming for. I'll just carry on doing my thing. That's the idea. All right. Peace out, guys. That's the pose for the thumbnail, I think. Maybe? Yeah, maybe. There you go. Wham.